You want to grow your own food. But every time you look at your tiny backyard, cramped patio, or little apartment balcony, you probably think, there's no way I can grow enough food in a space this small. And honestly, a lot of people are thinking the exact same thing right now. But June is actually the best month of the year for small space gardening. The warm soil, long daylight hours, and peak growing conditions can turn even the tiniest corner into a surprisingly productive food garden if you plant the right crops. That's the part most gardening videos never tell you. A lot of beginners waste precious space on giant plants that spread everywhere, steal sunlight, choke containers, and leave them disappointed by midsummer, especially if you only have a few pots, a narrow raised bed, or a tiny suburban plot. So instead of showing you crops made for huge farmhouse yards, today I'm going to show you the vegetables, herbs, and compact plants that actually thrive in small spaces during June. The ones that grow fast, produce heavily, and make you feel like every inch of your garden is finally working for you. There is something magical about walking outside on a bright June morning with a cup of coffee and seeing life explode. But if you are not careful, that same summer energy can work against you. That is why I have a beautiful little surprise waiting for you when we get to crop number 5. It is a summer staple that almost every urban grower I know struggles with because it panics and bolts the second the sun gets too intense. I am going to share a raw, hands-in-the-dirt backyard hack to keep it happy, lush, and productive right in a simple container pot. No fancy equipment, no greenhouse needed, just pure old-school gardening intuition. So let's roll up our sleeves, grab a trowel, and start with crop number 1. Bush borlotti beans, the no-trellis yield king. Let's talk about a plant that completely changed the way I look at small spaces, the dwarf or bush borlotti bean. I remember when I first started gardening, I watched everyone building these massive, beautiful bamboo teepees for climbing runner beans. They looked great, but in a small yard, they cast a massive shadow that completely starved my other plants of sunlight. That is when I discovered bush beans, and they are an absolute godsend for tight spaces. These little fighters stay short, stocky, and completely self-supporting. They grow to about 16 inches or 40 centimeters tall, which means you can tuck them into standard patio pots, or pop them into those awkward little gaps left behind after harvesting your early spring radishes. If you are watching from the damp, moody climates of the Pacific Northwest or coastal Europe, you will love how fast these seeds wake up in June's warm soil. Here is a little trick I do every single year to help them along. Don't just drop them cold into the dirt. Wrap the seeds in a damp sheet of paper towel, slide it into a Ziploc bag, and leave it on your kitchen counter for 48 hours. When you open that bag and see that little white root punching through the shell, it feels like a tiny miracle every single time. Plant them about 2 inches or 5 centimeters deep, and in about 8 weeks your pots will be absolutely dripping with gorgeous fire-streaked red and cream pods. The best part? They are a dual-purpose blessing for your kitchen. You can snap them young and crisp to throw into a summer stir-fry, or you can do what I do. Let them hang on the plant until the pods turn completely dry and papery. There is a deeply satisfying therapeutic sound when you shell dry borlotti beans into a mason jar on a rainy autumn evening. It is like putting food security on your shelf, grown entirely from a pot that sits on your back steps. They don't waste energy building massive vines. They put every ounce of life they have into making food for you. Give them a spot with good morning sun, keep the soil damp, and they will reward you over and over again. Tuscan lacinato kale, the upright powerhouse. Next up at number 2 is a vegetable that is so beautiful, it deserves a spot on your patio just for its looks. Tuscan lacinato kale, or as many of us lovingly call it, dinosaur kale. I see so many beginners waste months trying to grow giant round cabbages in their small beds. Cabbages take up a huge amount of horizontal space, and if a slug gets into the heart of it, your whole harvest is gone in one night. Lacinato kale is the complete opposite. It grows upward, throwing out dark blue-green crinkled leaves like a miniature palm tree. Because it grows vertically, it has a tiny footprint on the ground, leaving the soil beneath it open for a carpet of companion salads or herbs. If you live somewhere like New York Zone 7A or New England, where winter hits hard and fast, this is your ultimate survival crop. Sowing it in June gives the plant a chance to build a deep, sturdy root system during the long, sunny days. Then, when autumn arrives and the first hard frost hits your garden, something beautiful happens. The freezing temperature forces the plant to convert its starches into pure sugars to keep its cells from freezing. That frost quite literally sweetens the kale, turning a bitter leaf into a tender gourmet treat that tastes better than anything you can buy at a grocery store. but I have to be completely honest with you about one thing that other videos gloss over: the cabbage white butterfly. In June, these butterflies are hunting for brassicas, and if you don't protect your young seedlings, you will wake up to find nothing but green skeletons. The moment my seeds sprout in their plug trays, I cover them with a fine, lightweight insect mesh. It saves so much heartbreak later. When you harvest, never pull the whole plant. Just snap off the lower leaves as you need them and let the top keep growing. I've had single kale plants survive through 2 full winters, standing tall in the snow, offering fresh greens when everything else was dead. Chives, the ultimate bioshield. For crop number 3, we are turning to an absolute essential that I believe no small garden should ever be without: chives. This is a perennial herb, which is just a fancy way of saying you plant it once, and it becomes a permanent resident of your garden, returning every spring like an old friend. They are incredibly forgiving, almost impossible to kill, and will happily live in a tiny cracked ceramic pot on a windowsill. Now, if you are growing in the southeastern United States, you know the daily frustration of dealing with wildlife. Rabbits, voles, and deer can wander into a small yard and destroy weeks of hard work in a matter of minutes. But here is the secret: those animals navigate by scent, and they absolutely loathe the strong, clean onion aroma of chives. I use chives as a living, breathing barrier, planting them tightly along the borders of my raised beds to create a natural, aromatic shield that keeps pests away from my sweet crops. Sowing them is simple. Just scatter the tiny black seeds onto some moist potting mix, press them down gently with your fingers, and keep them hydrated. Soon you'll have a lush clump of grass-like spears that you can snip directly into your morning omelets or over a bowl of hot potato soup. And in the early summer, they throw up these gorgeous ball-shaped purple flowers. Don't just look at them. Pull the petals apart and scatter them over a salad. They have this beautiful, delicate onion pop that elevates any simple meal. In the dead of winter, the leaves will wither away to nothing, but don't worry. Beneath the frozen crust of the earth, the little bulbs are just resting, waiting to be the very first green things to welcome you back next spring. Rutabaga, Swede, the Sunday roast legend. Moving on to number 4, let's shine a light on a root vegetable that is criminally ignored in modern gardens: the rutabaga. Depending on where you live, you might call it a Swede, a rutabaga, or if you have roots in Scotland, a neep. I always smile when I read my comments because people from Michigan down to Tennessee get so passionate about how to say its name. But no matter what word you use, June is the absolute sweet spot to get this seed into the soil. Sowing them now means they grow steadily through the summer and mature during the cool golden days of autumn, right when they taste best. In a small space, you can sow a neat row of them just 8 inches, or 20 centimeters apart right down the edge of your bed. One major piece of real-world advice for June sowing: the summer sun can bake the top layer of your soil into a hard cement-like crust. If you sow tiny seeds under that crust, they will run out of energy and die before they can break through. To prevent this, scratch out a shallow trench, water it until it's completely muddy, drop your seeds, and cover them with a loose, fluffy handful of premium seed starting mix instead of heavy garden soil. It gives those delicate sprouts a soft, effortless path to the surface. By November, you will be digging up heavy, golden roots that store beautifully in a dark cupboard for months. There is nothing like peeling a rutabaga you grew yourself, boiling it down with some carrots, and mashing it with a heavy hand of butter, cream, and plenty of white pepper. It smells like home, it tastes like history, and it humbles you to know it all came from a few tiny seeds sown on a hot June afternoon. Bolt-resistant spinach, the shady summer hack. Now let's talk about that little surprise I promised you at crop number 5. Crisp green summer spinach. If you talk to any traditional gardener, they will tell you that trying to grow spinach in June is an exercise in pure frustration. The moment the days get long and the soil warms up, it shoots up a tall flower stalk, and the leaves become incredibly bitter. For years, I gave up on summer spinach completely until I figured out how to trick the plant by changing how I manage my space. First, you need to look specifically for seed packets that say bolt-resistant or slow bolt on the label. Second, we are going to break the traditional rule that says vegetables must have full blazing sun. Look at your tallest plants, maybe your summer tomatoes or those bush beans we talked about earlier. We are going to sow our spinach seeds directly in their shadow, creating a cozy little understory where the afternoon sun can't scorch them. Third, go grab some dried grass clippings from your lawnmower or a handful of clean straw and pack it around the base of your spinach plants. This mulch acts like an air conditioner for the earth, keeping the root zone damp and cool even when July hits its peak. When you harvest, just pinch off the baby outer leaves and leave the center to keep producing. Walking out to a shaded corner of a hot patio and picking crisp, sweet baby spinach leaves for a summer lunch is an incredible feeling. It teaches you that gardening isn't about fighting against the summer heat. It's about finding those little pockets of shade and working with them. Genovese basil and sprouting broccoli, the space saver combo. Finally, at number 6, we are wrapping up with a beautiful combination that utilizes every single dimension of your small space. Genovese basil and winter sprouting broccoli. Now, sprouting broccoli is a lesson in patience. It takes about 8 to 10 months from seed to harvest, but don't let that timeline scare you. In June, we sow these seeds into a compact plug tray that sits entirely on a windowsill or a small patio table. They will happily live in those tiny cells for up to 2 months, developing a tight, healthy root system while your summer crops are using the main garden beds. While those broccoli plugs are quietly growing in the background, you fill your patio pots with aromatic Genovese basil. For me, the true scent of summer isn't a barbecue or the beach. It's the perfume released when your hand brushes against a lush basil plant on a warm evening. But please, stop harvesting your basil by plucking individual leaves off the bottom of the stem. When you do that, you leave a bare, stressed stalk that quickly tries to flower. Instead, wait until the plant is about 6 inches, or 15 centimeters tall, take some sharp scissors, and snip the entire main stem off right above a set of 2 leaves. It looks brutal, and it feels scary the first time you do it, but you are actually unlocking the plant's potential. Within days, those side shoots will explode into 2 brand new main stems, doubling your leaf production and keeping the plant bushy and vibrant. And if you happen to spot a tiny wolf spider spinning a web near the base of your basil pots, take a deep breath and leave him be. Over the years, I've learned that those little spiders are the unsung heroes of an organic balcony, eating the tiny aphids and pests before they ever get a chance to ruin your dinner. Now that our seeds are sorted, I want to step away from the script for a minute and talk to you heart to heart about something that happens to almost every small space gardener in late June. I call it the overstuffed bed panic. June is this crazy, beautiful month where every seed you planted suddenly wakes up and decides to grow at double speed. You look outside, and your tiny raised bed looks like a total jungle. The leaves are touching, the space is gone, and instead of feeling proud, you start to feel overwhelmed. You look at it and think, I've messed this up. Everything is too crowded. First of all, take a breath. It means you did a great job planting, but you cannot just leave it. When a small garden becomes too dense, the air stops moving between the stems. Moisture gets trapped, the sun can't reach the soil, and within a week, powdery mildew or rot will sweep through. You have to be brave. Grab your pruners, walk out there, and give your garden some room to breathe. Look at your kale plants or your tomatoes. Strip away those old yellowing leaves at the very bottom of the stem. Clear out that stagnant airspace right above the soil line so the summer breeze can pass through. If your rutabagas are crushing each other, thin them out. It feels like a waste to pull up a living plant, but those tiny thinned out greens are packed with intense flavor. Wash them off and toss them into your dinner salad as a gourmet treat. The real secret to a tiny garden isn't having more dirt, it's mastering succession timing. When you harvest a patch of early spring greens or pull up some radishes, never leave that soil empty. Bare soil is an open invitation for weeds and evaporation. Always have a small tray of seedlings waiting on your steps, ready to go. The moment a space opens up, tuck a fresh seedling right into that warm, active soil. It keeps your garden moving like an efficient, beautiful, living assembly line. Before I say goodbye today, I want to leave you with one small thought that changed the way I look at my backyard ecosystem. When your spring vegetables finally reach the end of their path, don't be in a massive rush to rip them all out by the roots. If you have the space, let just one single kale plant or an old carrot push up its tall stalks and go completely to flower. Those flowers might not give you something to eat, but they explode with beautiful yellow and white blooms that become an absolute sanctuary for local honeybees during the hot, dry weeks of midsummer. Watching those clumsy little bumblebees buzzing around a plant you nurtured is a beautiful reminder of why we do this. Gardening in a small space isn't just about filling our own plates. It's about creating a small, thriving patch of nature right where we live. It proves that you don't need acres of land or a tractor to connect with the earth and grow something real. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you team rutabaga, or do you call it a Swede like my friends across the Atlantic? And which of these 6 space-saving seeds are you going to start on your patio this weekend? Let me know in the comments below, And please include your climate hardiness zone so we can all learn from each other. If you want to see, it's exactly how I build my own vertical trellis systems out of cheap, discarded branches for under $10. Click on the video that's popping up on your screen right now. Thank you so much for spending some time in the garden with me today. Happy sowing, take care of your soil, and I will see you in the next video.